What if I told you I raised 3 beautiful kids for 14 long, exhausting years, loving them with every single part of my heart, only to discover one day that none of them carried even a single drop of my blood, and the man who secretly helped my wife create them was my own best friend. But here's the craziest, most chilling part that still keeps me up at night. I actually knew the truth weeks earlier, and I chose to stay completely silent. I watched everything unfold like a movie I had already scripted in my head. Trust me, this isn't just another betrayal story. You need to hear exactly what I did next, because the revenge I served was ice cold and absolutely devastating. My name is Ryan. Sarah and I met back in college, fell deeply in love, got married, and built what I truly believed was the perfect life together. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes even 3, just so she could stay home and raise the kids, exactly the way she always dreamed. From the outside, everything looked absolutely beautiful. The family photos, the happy posts, the loving texts every single day. I poured my heart and soul into that family, believing every smile and every "I love you" was real. But what she didn't know, what nobody knew, was that behind every smile, behind every something dark and rotten had been growing for years. Something I was about to rip wide open. I coached every single soccer game, made dinner every single night, read bedtime stories until their eyes closed, and fixed every scraped knee with a Band-Aid and a hug. I never missed a single moment. Not one birthday, not one school play, not one late-night nightmare. I was the dad who showed up for everything, every single time, no matter how tired I was. I trusted her completely. I believed in our family completely, with all my heart. But deep down, something dark was hiding behind all those perfect smiles, something she thought she had buried so well that I would never find it, until the day everything changed forever. Last month, the doctor casually suggested a simple DNA test for our youngest, just a minor health thing. Nothing to worry about, he said. I never expected what was coming. I thought it was just routine paperwork, something quick and forgettable. I went through the motions without a second thought, never imagining it would destroy everything I believed. But when those results finally arrived in my hands, everything I believed about my entire life started to crack wide open, and I had no idea how completely destroyed I was about to feel, or the cold plan I was about to set in motion. The results came back, 0% match, not even close. My heart literally stopped in my chest. In complete disbelief, I immediately tested the other 2 kids. Same devastating answer. 14 years of my life, every memory, every sacrifice, every late night, gone in 1 single second. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me and I was falling into darkness. I refused to break down in front of her because I already knew exactly what I was going to do and how I was going to make her pay for every single lie. I didn't scream. I didn't cry in front of her. I didn't smash anything. I just walked out, sat in my truck for 3 long, painful hours in the pouring rain, staring at those cold papers while the rain hammered the windshield like it was trying to break me too. I felt every single year of my life unravel right in front of me, every happy memory turning into a lie. And in that dark, quiet, freezing moment, I made a cold, calculated decision that would change everything forever, and she had no idea it was coming. I already knew who the real father was, my so-called best friend, Mike, The guy who had been around our house for years, always helping with the kids, always staying late when I worked nights. But I didn't confront them. I stayed completely silent and started planning everything in the shadows like a ghost. What she didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that I was quietly building the perfect trap that would destroy the secret life they thought they had built together. And the best part was still coming. I hired the best private investigator and a sharp family lawyer the very same day, completely quietly, without telling a single soul. In just 2 weeks, I had everything. Hotel receipts, hundreds of deleted messages, secret photos, bank transfers where she was sending him our money, undeniable proof that she had been lying to me for 14 long, painful years. What she didn't know was that I was holding all the evidence in my hands, and I was still waiting patiently for the perfect moment to strike. Those nights after I got the proof were the longest of my life. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every lie, every fake smile, every time she told me she loved me. Part of me wanted to explode right then and there. Part of me wanted to forgive, but I stayed silent. I kept planning. What she didn't know was that the longer I waited, the stronger my plan became, and the more devastating it would be when I finally pulled the trigger. I waited patiently, letting them both think everything was still normal and happy, letting them live in their fantasy a little longer. Then the perfect moment finally arrived, our 14th wedding anniversary dinner. She invited Mike and his wife, smiling and laughing, like we were still the perfect happy family. She had absolutely no idea that tonight would be the night her entire world would come crashing down around her, and I was ready to watch it happen. Halfway through the main course, I slowly stood up, tapped my glass, and said in the calmest voice I could manage, "Before we celebrate our anniversary, I have a very special gift for my wife." I slid the thick envelope across the table and watched her face change as she reached for it with a confused smile. What happened in the next few seconds left everyone completely frozen in shock. She opened it and then she froze completely. I played the video on my phone, every hotel security clip, every loving text, every lie they had told for 14 years. The entire table went dead silent. She tried to laugh it off at first. Mike turned ghost white. I looked her straight in the eyes and said the words I had been waiting months to say, and the look on her face was something I will never forget. The silence that fell over the table was heavier than anything I had ever felt. No one moved. No one spoke. You could hear the forks still resting on the plates. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time in 14 years, she saw the real me, the man who had been planning this moment in secret. What happened next would be even worse than she could imagine. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "The kids stay with me. The house is in my name only. The divorce papers are already filed, and every single person we know just received this same proof tonight." The color drained from her face. Mike looked like he'd seen a ghost, but that was only the beginning. The real destruction was still coming the next morning, and it would be even worse than she could imagine. The phone calls started before we even left the restaurant. Her mother, my mother, our friends, everyone was getting the proof at the same time. I watched her hands shake as she tried to call them back, but it was already too late. What she didn't know was that this was only the first wave, and the worst was yet to come. By the next morning, the storm had begun. She was served at work in front of everyone. Mike lost his job the same day. The judge gave me full custody. She moved into a tiny studio apartment across town. I kept the house, the kids, and every single penny of our savings. Every night they still call me Dad because I am the only father they have ever truly known. Sarah finally learned that some betrayals don't just break a marriage, they completely end an entire life. Karma didn't just knock. She moved in and changed the locks. If you love stories where the cheater finally gets exactly what they deserve, drop a broken heart emoji in the comments right now. Tell me, would you have stayed silent and destroyed everything like I did? And make sure you're subscribed to Tales of IH Harp, because next week, I'm dropping an even darker one you won't want to miss.